So here we are again, everybody. Here to talk about the epic match between Aichi and Ren, which was last week, and I wasn't around to talk about it. My apologies. Let's just say Comic Con weekend can be very rough on all of us, if you know what I mean. Actually, you probably don't, but certain things are better off left being unsaid. Anyways, so this week we had the Aichi Ren fight, or last week, and it was fine. It was good. I'm gonna be straight up honest. I don't really remember a lot about it. Not because it was a week ago, mostly because they make two of the strangest decisions in not just this franchise's history, but in card game anime history. First up, there is the music that plays during the Ren backstory scene. Now, first up, I actually really like this scene quite a bit because it sort of shows you how our characters are similar. It shows Ren's abuse at his father, this time from his own perspective. It shows us Aichi living with his own demons as a child. But what I like is when you look at Ren's, you see him suffer, you see what he goes through, but you see how very sort of impressionistic everything is. The father is mostly obscured. The background is very black, very sort of striking reds, like this very sort of nightmarish looking scene, whereas Aichi's is just sort of very natural to what it was. It's a great way of showing how these characters kind of view things. They both have similar backstories of going through some form of abuse. Aichi through peers, Ren through family. Obviously, these affect people very differently. But what it ultimately comes back to is that both these characters carry their sadness in their hearts. But what's different is that Ren chooses to be angry about it. He chooses to lash out and cause trouble. Whereas Aichi chooses to accept it and try and make his life better. It's the choices these characters make that define them. And I like that that's what's at the front and center here. However, what ruins it is that bizarre piano solo they're playing. So someone pointed out in the comment section a while back that the score for this anime is not very good, especially when compared to the original Cardfight Vanguard. And even though certain tracks I like quite a bit, I like the main score that plays while they're card fighting, I kind of have to agree. I feel like not a lot of the music in this does a good job of conveying emotion or the gravity of a scene. Everything just kind of sounds the same. So when you want to do this big, epic, philosophical scene between your protagonist and antagonist, I kind of understand the desire to try and go with a better piece of music, but they didn't do that. The song is really weird to listen to. It's very strange in its composition. I don't really think it conveys either emotion correctly, that being Ren's anger or Aichi's desire to save him. It's just kind of this really weird, offbeat piece. And I think it was more just chosen just because they felt it sounded unique more than it actually fit the scene. I'm sorry if anyone liked it. I just found it really distracting above all else. And then we get the ultimate bizarre decision that episode has to offer. Ren is on the astral plane or whatever the fuck with Aichi. Ren is fully clothed and Aichi's fully naked. Why? How does this even work? Why is he nude? Why does he imagine himself nude? It's just kind of a strange thing to look at. And you might call it a nitpick, but it lasts a long time considering the episode length. So it's just really weird. Like if Aichi was dressed and they just sort of stood as equals, it'd be one thing, but like Aichi's all sort of weirdly angelic and nude. And I choose to believe what this means is that the true manifestation of Aichi's psyqualia is not in his card fighting, it's not even in the weird looking eyes. It's when you look into Aichi's balls. If you look at the left testicle, you see your past. Right testicle, you see your future. If you look at the penis, you're gay. But then, like, I kind of can't even be really mad at it, because we get that fucking awesome turn with Exculpate the Blaster. That is a really cool play. Like, Exculpate shows up and he's just like a fucking rock star. Like, all the light shines, the music swells, comes in very bombastic. He shows up, he kills all the rear guards, goes after the vanguard. It's an awesome play, and then you end the whole thing off with Blaster Blade descending onto the field, coming in, swinging in, taking the bad boy out. It's a really cool turn. Like, I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, maybe a bit of a mixed bag, maybe sort of brought down by some weird decision making, but a cool fight nonetheless. Then we move on to this week's episode, which does some interesting... I'm sorry about the phone, guys. It does some really interesting things with everybody. Thing one I quite enjoyed was that I like that our heroes are not really, like, in a big triumphant pose afterwards. It's just kind of like Aichi, like, he stressed himself too much, now he's got a fever. It's not permanent, it's just annoying. Kai is also weakened and takes the day off to build Novell, so, yeah, like, it's just this very standard thing, and the whole event of our finale isn't even treated as such. It's just kind of this weird thing that happened yesterday. And I kind of appreciate that. It sort of sticks along to the show's more grounded desire, like its ability to seem more like this could really happen. So I really actually did appreciate that, and I liked it. Then we move on to the Kai Miwa scene, which I also quite enjoyed, because the dialogue is very natural sounding. It's very normal the way they talk to each other. It's not making Kai out to seem like invincible, it's just, here's two dudes just kind of talking, and that's what I appreciated about it. And then we move on to the next set of scenes, which is Flashback, which can be very annoying, especially if you've watched my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains videos. But I like that it was for a purpose. It led somewhere. These flashbacks sort of added to everything. Like, you see Aichi when he's in class, and first up you see Morikawa and the other two show up, and they're being friendly with him. Morikawa isn't just some annoying comedy relief asshole. No, like, they're being chummy, they're hanging out. It shows how far Aichi's come. And I like how you just see three classmates who are like, Aichi seems a bit brighter lately. Like, this real nice idea of just, it makes the world feel bigger. Everyone's not just a generic thing laughing at him. These are people who are noticing that Aichi's becoming better for it. It's not a big deal, but it's a nice detail. And then we get on to the actual card capital card fight, and there we get maybe the most, in my opinion, the most polarizing thing in these two episodes, because I'm not fully sure what I think about it, and that being the change to Kai's backstory. So for those of you who don't know, in the original Cardfight Vanguard, Kai's parents were just dead. Not for any particular need. Kai doesn't have, like, the memory of it playing in his head 24/7. They're gone. It's presented this very sort of nihilistic, this very grounded, real-world approach to it. They died. End of story. Nothing special. Here, his parents stole money from the company they worked for, disappeared, left him behind, and then he went from relative to relative who continually got sick of him for no reason other than the fact that they hated his parents. I know this is a concept and a cliche you see in anime a lot, but I can just never get into this. Like, he's a kid, and yes, things like family honor are very important in Eastern culture, and even in, like, European culture, where they are not necessarily here. But I still kind of find it hard to believe he just went from person to person. No one was just like, look, give the kid a break. And also, like, I liked the absoluteness of what happened. I liked that idea that, like, Kai's parents were just gone. He was just this orphan, and, like, that was it. And again, you can make the argument it's a little weird to have two, like, sort of grouchy characters with dead parents, but I felt like it worked for what it was, and this was just kind of weird. Like, I doubt the parents are ever going to show up again, and yeah, it's interesting that he went from sort of foster home to foster home, but I kind of find it a little more distracting. Like, it's more realistic, I guess, in as much as Kai's not that bad this time, like, he's not that negative on everything, so he shouldn't have as negative a past, and it does make sense that going through what he went through would make him sort of very not happy with the world. But I kind of felt like it could have been shown off better, and then it's like, I became the solitary fighter. I think it's because no one wants to card fight a guy who looks like he's got serial killer eyes. but it's fine. The card fight's going fine. But I am excited to see what happens next week. So join me then, and I swear I will be there, hopefully. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on these two episodes. If you like the fights, if you're okay with the decision making, if you like the score, if you like Kai's changes, all that good stuff. And as for the Vanguard question of the week, sneak peek is this weekend. I did not attend because honestly, I don't know if I really want to build shadows or if I just want to wait for golds at this point. But do you go for sneak peek? Do you try to get everything that first weekend? Because obviously everything is hyped in price, but then you've got it. So once these things start going to tournaments and the demand goes up, you know you're all set, even if you had to pay a little bit more on release. So which do you prefer? Get the stuff early and pay a little bit more, or wait a little bit and hope the quantity stays? Tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for our big finale, because I totally believe this thing is going to end with episode 25 and not have a next episode the week after.